I've had multiple conversations this week with different spiritual leaders, mostly ministers or somebody who's leading a church that's not the minister, but they're, you know, in the role as the spiritual leader. And so many conversations about change and transformation and what are we doing and how are we going to survive. I've had even conversations about how to close a church well. How do you do that well? And what I'm discovering and what is sort of being echoed back is that the tragedy in many churches is not that they resist change, although we do say that and we kind of view, that the pushback. Um, but I'm wondering if what they're mistaking is they're mistaking rearrangement for transformation. So what if the church isn't really afraid of change, but what it's afraid of is transformation? Because what I'm seeing going on from the mothership on down to the five people in a church is that what's going on is rearrangement, not transformation, and they're not the same thing. And when um, and when they are mistaken, when rearrangement is mistaken for transformation, you pretty much get what you've always got. So transformation asks for something that rearrangement never will. It really asks us to become different. And what I'm talking about is individual or, church organization. And honestly, I just don't think many churches want transformation. It's not like you wake up one morning and go, ta da, all transformed, yay. Um, what they want is continuity with better branding. You know, I get the continuity. There's some safety in that. Um, so a new logo, a younger worship leader, an online campus, or online circles of connection, strategic plan, things around social justice, whether it's a team or handbook or conversations or a statement, even just a simple statement. A different governance structure that's going on, really at the kind of top level. An innovative pastor, looking for evolved teachings, which, if you actually dive into them, they're really just more rearrangement. It's not actually transformation, and none of those things are transformation. What and I get that somebody listening to it is saying, "No, but we're doing this, and it is transforming." And I don't want to take that away from somebody. This is just because this is what I do for a living. I'm out and about in multiple places. It's just one of the things I'm learning. Um, that it's really much more about rearrangement. But you know what? Underneath that, and this is why I say it's not really transformation, because underneath what's going on is the same anxiety, the same scarcity, the same fear of uncertainty, the same hierarchy. You may give it different labels or names, but it's still the same hierarchy, the same performance driven spirituality, right? Fix it spirituality, the same institutional nervous system, which is still dysregulated. One of my favorite quotes in the whole wide world, and it sits in front of me every day. It comes from Audre Lorde, and the reason it sits in front of me is because she has a little book, and it's called "The Master's House Will Never Dismantle the Master's tools will never dismantle the Master's house." Let me say that again. The Master's tools will never dismantle the Master's house. And if you haven't read that, go find it. Go to bookshop.org and get the little book. But I think a lot of people, I don't know if most, but a lot of people in churches really misunderstand this, because the master's tools are not just structures. So everything that I kind of labeled was really structure. It's the master's tools are emotional patterns, the ways of relating, right? The survival responses that masquerade as spirituality. And that's what I'm seeing, not, you know, trying, I don't even know if they're trying to dismantle them, but that's why I use that quote from Audre Lorde, that the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. A church that's formed in fear, a church or an organization or a new initiative that's formed in fear, will create fearful innovation. A church formed in hierarchy will create updated hierarchy. A church or an organization or uh, a reforming, or wanting to renovate the organization or strategize or rechange the structure or new governance, is for self-protection. So what winds up happening is baptizing the protection just in modern language. And this is why many new initiatives or even churches feel very familiar. The language may change, the branding may change, and the demographics may even change, but the emotional field remains untouched. It remains dysregulated, as Myrtle would say. People still can't tell the truth. They're still afraid to. Conflict is still feared. How do we avoid it? How do we spiritually bypass it? Et cetera, et cetera. Power still concentrates upward. Belonging is still conditional. Here's the list of things you need to do, say, be, whatever, to belong. Leaders are still rewarded for certainty over curiosity. Bodies are still overridden in the name of mission. And when I say bodies, I mean physical bodies. The well-being of the physical body is overridden in the name of mission. Exhaustion is still spiritualized. Growth is still confused with health. There's a belief that if we grow the income, we grow people, how many people are coming in. That gets confused with health and well-being. It's not. We think evolution means doing church differently or doing this organization differently. It's just rearranging. And more often than not, what's happening is decorating that same nervous system. And I don't, people may hear this or think I'm shaming an individual or a church, and I don't say it to shame it. Honestly, most of the patterns are inherited, right? I inherited emotional patterns from my family, my parents, and churches do the same thing. They inherit patterns from whoever came before. And so spiritual communities learn to survive with those patterns, trying to matter, trying not to disappear. But survival consciousness cannot create liberation. Only awareness can do that. Only truth can do that. Only a nervous system safe enough to stop performing can do that. So I think evolution begins, or transformation begins, not with asking how do we grow the church or how do we change the movement to get more people in or younger people, but rather asking what kind of consciousness are we reproducing inside each other? Because that's what we're doing. We're just, consciousness reproduces itself. And if this brings up some discomfort for you, good. I'm not glad, because I don't want everybody to be uncomfortable, but I know that nothing grows in the comfort zone. And it's good, not because discomfort is holy, but because noticing is what's holy, right? When we notice the discomfort, and when you notice it, and you can pause and name it in your body where the discomfort is, that is what's holy. So before you fix anything today, before you try to optimize or rebrand or strategize or push harder, just pause. Just pause. Put both of your feet on the floor. Take one slower breath and ask yourself, whether individual or an organization, What in me still believes fear is the only way to survive? And I know for some people I go, well, there isn't. And I would push back a little and say, I think there is. We're doing more rearranging than transformation, I believe, from where I sit and watch. So what in me still believes fear is the only way to survive? Don't answer it. Just notice, right? You don't have to answer the question. But I bet your brain was going there. It was Rolodexing, like, what is the answer? I gotta find the right answer, right? Which again is rearranging, which again is a sign of dysregulation. So you don't have to answer it immediately. Just notice it. And by noticing it, that may already be the transformation.